Welcome to FCC Knows. Hi, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, welcome to you too. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and don't forget, if you like this video, to give us a thumbs up, okay? Today we're going to talk about change, because that's real. Change is real. And in our minds, we think that change is like something that we can deal with and adapt to, but I don't know. I've been dealing with a lot of change. Here at work, we've been dealing with change.
Yes.
We have like some agency changes, meaning so we have interns, they're about to leave, and then we're gonna get some new ones, but they're not gonna come for another couple weeks. We got a new guy that's coming, so you'll get to meet him hopefully soon. And then in my personal life, my daughter's getting married, my husband's thinking about starting his own business, so that's a change. Just it's creating a lot of anxiety for me, so I'm just wondering, how does that really affect us? So today we're just going to discuss that. Let's discuss change.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that you mentioned about change is that it's different at work than it is in your personal life or like at home, and so how does that affect you differently?
Right, yeah, like just in a, like, because at work you're in a role, so you gotta, I mean, well, in every life aspect you're in a role, but yeah, just at work you have to still meet deadlines, you have to do things that you're supposed to do and on time, you know. You might have a different situation of being the supervisor for the week or just doing something like that. So how does that really affect you? And like, you don't know how it's impacting you until it's really impacting you. And for me, I was noticing that one day we were having a meeting, y'all, and Joanna kept asking me, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then after the meeting, our supervisor was like, "Hey, Juana, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." I mean, and then it had to hit me like, maybe I'm not okay, because even when I went home, my husband asked me, "Are you okay?" So I was like, I don't know, am I okay? And so I didn't realize that all these different things were, so like my personal change at home is affecting me at work even. Or, and I think I'm having a good balance with it, but I don't know if I really, like, if it's real.
And I agree. I feel like for me, change at work is a little bit easier for me to deal with. I guess because I have the structure in my mind that I have to get things done. But I noticed that, because I've been going through some things also in the past month or so, and I noticed that change at home then seems to reflect more of me being more irritable, and it's a case where then what I noticed is I'm a little bit more standoffish, but I didn't notice it initially. So I think for me, the personal part, it also does transfer back. But at work, I can look like maybe everything's fine. I get home though, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not handling this. And my husband is like, yeah, you're not handling it. So I think that piece is true, that the personal can kind of interfere with work life or vice versa, depending on how a person handles it. But it does affect you.
Yeah, and I think if we're having change at work, it can increase the stress, which then increases whatever you're taking home with you, especially in this job, because it's not like we're coming into work every day and dealing with really easy things. We're kind of going into the thick of it with people. And I love that. I love being able to do that. But when you're also experiencing changes and stress and people leaving and people going, and it creates like an emotional disruption almost. And so I connect with what you're saying, Christy. Like, I'll be more withdrawn and kind of go into my structure. Like, I'm just going to get the things done that I know I have to get done. Which then can send out a weird vibe to the people who I'm normally like really like close with, which then creates more stress, right? And so it can really like, how do we do it in a healthy way? Like, how do we adapt and do the stress in a healthy way?
I think really goes down to self-care, because like you named a whole bunch of things for me right there of just not being your normal self. And then, you know, because I think I joke a lot all the time, and I'm just like he all the time, and so then y'all are like, yeah, what's wrong with you? So I think for me, what I recognize too is that I did have a lot of heavy caseloads too, which usually I don't feel any, like I don't let that stuff really bother me, because I'm like, I know that that's their issue. I'm just here to help guide them with that. But I think self-care is what really, like, what it boils down to. And I hadn't been doing self-care because I was just like focused on everybody but me. So I come to work, I'm focused on my clients and just making sure they're okay. Then I go home and I'm like, yep, I gotta make sure everybody got something to eat or whatever, make sure my dogs are taken care of. And then, but typically, like, I like to go get my feet done and just like watch a good movie or something and like read and just all that. And I wasn't doing self-care. And I think that really, to get through get through change, you really do need to do some positive self-care. Because I mean, me going home and drinking or something is probably, or eating. Girl, when you say eating, I'm telling you, like, Baskin Robbins is my friend. So yeah, it's not, you know, that, and then that could lead to you having even more stress.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, something positive for self-care. What do y'all do for self-care? Like, if you don't mind.
Yeah. For me, what I'm trying to get back into is faith-based for me. So I'm trying to spend more time with God, because I really do feel like, because especially in like previous work situations, I did allow the stress to get to me there, and I noticed it through eating, and I was like, wow, I blew up, you know. And so it was a wake-up call. And I think for me here, it's a space of me really trying to get back into reading the Bible and focusing on that. Painting, I've never considered myself a drawer, but I think I'm pretty good now that I'm just sitting down and focusing on it. So I really find peace in it, just trying to do something that takes me out of my comfort zone and not being a perfectionist in it, and allow myself to be free in it. Because I think a lot of times I'm really hard on myself with stuff, and then when it's time to change, I'm like, wait, I already figured that part out, now I gotta change it and try to figure this part out. So painting, getting more into the Bible, things like that seem to help. I'm trying to read more also, just in general. I really find that to be helpful for me, but I gotta make myself do these things, I feel.
Make the time for it.
Right, exactly.
Because that's the thing, we make time for everything else and everybody else, but then it's like, I'll get to it later, and it's like, I don't know, it doesn't happen.
I think change always challenges my sense of security, and so then if it challenges my sense of security, like at work, where I feel like, oh, like I don't really know my role anymore, or in my personal life, like, oh, I don't really know how this fits anymore, like the rhythm gets off, then I really have to kind of go to those self-care things that I can release some of that negative energy. So for me, that looks like running and kickboxing, but running really helps just because I'm outside and really in like nature, and so that's how I feel like I can connect to God within that, and just those simple beauties, but also like really simple things like meal prepping, that helps me because it's out of the way, I don't have to think about it, and I can try to make healthier choices because it's like already prepared for me. As much like upfront work that I can do, that really helps me a lot. But I also noticed too though that when it comes to change, I can start to judge it as good or bad, and it's very black and white. And then if it's a bad change, then I feel hopeless, or I feel helpless, and I feel that powerlessness, and so it can really send me down that rabbit hole. And so trying to come back to like a mental self-care space of like, no, like this isn't about it being good or bad, it's like on a continuum, you know, like how healthy or unhealthy am I within the change in and of itself,
because it's gonna happen regardless.
Another way.
Those are really good points. And I think that the last thing that you were saying about just having the change just be like accepted and kind of like do some prep work for it, and I think that's what it is for me. It's like, because mine is just anxiety, so anything that I can do to reduce that like ahead of time is great, I think. And it's just getting your mindset to do it. So in this video we did share some tips. You got to just go through them and find them. Because I think, Joanna, you mentioned exercise and getting closer to God as well, doing some prep work. You mentioned the similar things about getting connected with God, doing arts and crafts, creativity, things like that. So thank you guys, because I really needed this video today, or this discussion anyway. So if you needed it, go ahead and click subscribe, hit that bell so you can be notified of our next video. And again, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to
like, comment,
subscribe. See y'all next time.
bye.